Okay, the first question is, do you believe that you could change the world? And what does it mean to you to change the world?
Honestly, I've never really thought about changing the world because it's too big a concept. I I guess I really aspire simply to change where I am when I'm there in a more constructive direction. And in my experience, that happens best when you work on changing yourself to bring yourself into wherever you are. I really believe that change happens inside out, and that when people join together in that kind of an effort, the world may change. But I've never started with any aspiration to change the world.
And what is your sense of fulfillment? What does it mean to you to have this fulfillment in life?
I never really think about fulfillment. And I guess for me, it's enough to be present and aware, and that you can experience that sense of really being connected and in communion with life anywhere and with anyone. So while I think earlier in my life I may have been more ambitious in terms of setting goals and wanting to accomplish them, I think at this stage in my life that I'm very content just to be where I am every day and to do what I can where I am.
And what is your aspiration? What do you want to be, to become, to see in the world? What is your inspiration and aspiration?
For the last 20 years, I've been working out of a deep hope that it's possible to create economies in which nothing and no one is wasted, or to say it more positively, to create economies in which everyone and everything counts. I think about that very much like a mother. That what I'm hoping to do is to create spaces, contexts, if you will, where people can bring those things that they deeply hope and want to do and become into relationship to one another in a way that accelerates a sense of hope and confidence that they can achieve the things that matter to them. And in my experience, that's very, very possible to do. So I would be quite happy to spend the rest of my life simply helping set those spaces and watch people bring their own creative capacity to making the kind of changes that they think are important.
And what would you say to the people who want to change the world, or people who want to be the social entrepreneurs and do the good things while earning money? What would your advice be to these people?
I don't know about advice, but I guess what I would say to them is, wow, I'm really looking forward to learning from what you do. I'm so glad you feel motivated and interested to do it. I would love to know why you care about it and what you see as possible. And I said, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you feel that way, and I hope it'll be possible for you to really bring your strengths to doing it well.
And maybe as a final question, thinking like a mother and thinking like entrepreneur, you said that it's the same. Could you just say a couple of words about it? Why do you think it's very similar?
I think an entrepreneur is trying to, especially a social entrepreneur, is trying to build something for the long term that really improves the quality of life, not only for themselves, but for a lot of people around them. And a mother is fundamentally focused on the promise of life that her child's life represents and how to create sustaining cultures, a kind of culture of blessing in which that promise is realized over time. And she stays focused on that, and she makes choices according to that. And she sets a values context for that. And I think a social entrepreneur is particularly interested in setting a values-based context for building businesses, which is very much the work of the parents within a family. I also happen to feel passionately about the importance of language and constructive language in setting a context in which the context is creative and constructive and disciplined in the sense that it always moves in the direction of something better. It's generative, it's life-giving. I think we can do that with our language, with the questions we choose, with the way we speak to each other, and that language has a very definite moral impact. We become something more or less depending on who we're with and what they say to us and what we say to them. So I think that young social entrepreneurs who really want to make things better can bring themselves in every moment to doing that by living from that place of vision, being clear and articulating it and sharing it with others, and then inviting other people to join them in that in a way that constantly creates a generous, creative, constructive context in which people can be faithful to those visions. We're living at a time in which many of the things that need changing are things that will only be changed by our working collectively on changing them. So they're, if you will, they're collective dreams rather than individual dreams. And these collective dreams being commonly held, no one can see it all or do it all. So one of the approaches that I've had from the beginning when I Imagine Chicago is, rather than assuming that it's my job to talk people into something, I thought of myself more like a community organizer, where I believe that the dreams, these big dreams, are collectively held, and that I'm on a treasure hunt to find the community which is already holding them, but is not yet known to itself. Meaning, the people are out there, and what I need to do is ask the questions that help locate those people and then connect them to each other. One thing I love about the idea of the hub is that it's also premised on a belief that these large dreams that can make the world a better place are held in common, and that commitment and competence to achieve them is accelerated when we come together, both because we find out that we're moved by and inspired by the same things, and also because we learn from each other in a way that makes it more possible for us to achieve those things. Because we all have different knowledge bases, and what I know and what you know can inspire both of us to see more as possible. So I really hope that this hub movement takes root in many places, because that collective dreaming and collective action can build a lot of people's confidence that the kind of changes that do make the world a better place are possible when we come together and see that we hold those things in common and are willing to work for them.